And I think another key point to hone in on there, especially in this time right now when everyone's on edge, stressed out, hyper polarized, they're chomping at the bit for the moment, is do not try to win Thanksgiving. Don't try to win Thanksgiving. Don't
Don't.
go
Do
don't
not.
go in there like
Do
I'm gonna
not.
win
It's going to go
Thanksgiving.
into overtime.
Yeah.
It's a playoff game in hockey. This
Let me
thing's
tell you
going to
who
last
wins.
18 days.
Nobody. Nobody's gonna
Nobody.
win.
In a world that often pulls us apart, More in Common brings us back to what matters. Hosted by Gerren Taylor and Keith Richardson, this isn't your average podcast. It's a challenge to think deeper, question louder, and grow further. At More in Common, we work with NFL teams, tech companies, and professionals across industries to improve communication and foster compassion. And with a focus on emotional intelligence, we aim to bring a wealth of experience to help you navigate the complexities of human connection. We've never been more connected and yet more isolated. We want to explore the roots of that tension and offer a way back to what we all need: real human connection. Enjoy the show.
Hello
Don't
there.
You dare.
What?
Hey, what's up, bud?
Were you gonna have another Pitch Perfect moment? Or was there another song coming? Or
No, thought about it. Then I decided not to, and then I just decided to make it weird.
that's a thing for you now that I feel like we should address. You coming in with song or
Coming in
a
with some.
dance.
I listened to that episode, or in part, the ad hominem episode, and it didn't sound too bad on my ears. It was.
Oh,
it
you think
wasn't
you think you
terrible.
were Pitch Perfect? Is what you're saying?
I definitely don't have good pitch, but I wasn't. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I wasn't like, hey, sign that guy up.
Right.
But
No American Idol for you yet.
no,
we're saying.
No. Maybe America's Got Talent, so I can.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Way to keep the fucking goals aligned with your skills and talents. Don't oversell it. That's right.
Self-awareness. We talk about
the folks watching on YouTube may notice that I'm not in my normal cave. I'm actually already traveling for the holiday time, which this is why we're doing a special episode here. Normally we are on a 1-week cadence, but it's coming to the end of the year, guys, and we're gonna have to take some time off, some time to travel and be with our families and all that jazz. So this is gonna wrap up this year of new episodes for the More in Common podcast for us. As always, I'm Gerren Taylor. That's Keith Richardson. Keith, what's your favorite Turkey Day memory?
Oh, my favorite Turkey Day memory is I love that question. My grandparents were very religious. They've both passed. And we would always go over to my grandparents, my mom's parents for Thanksgiving. And there was a rule in the house. Like, there was no eating before grace. And I mean, my mom's one of 8. And this was one of those Thanksgivings where everybody was there because, everybody splits their holidays and there's that whole formula. But there were a lot of us there, and I was sitting on the counter with my cousin Aaron and served myself. Everybody was getting their meal together, and I polished off my plate before everybody else. I just scarfed it. Forgot that we hadn't said grace yet. And then my cousin Erin, who's like 3 years younger than me, she goes, "We haven't said grace yet." And it was this like internal panic because my grandfather was definitely a patriarch of the family. And it was just like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And it was full on scramble mode to just get food back on my plate. So it looked like I hadn't eaten yet. And then, And then I went and I ate my second dish just
I
a
was gonna
little
say,
slower.
I like that the solution to this for you was more food. It's not really
It's more
weaning you
food.
off the idea, right? Like
Yeah.
now in future
No.
years, you're
Just
sneaking it in on purpose before grace just to get that extra,
yeah.
just to get an extra
No.
plate in
No.
before the cousins come
No.
back around. I
No.
love
It
that
was good.
though. So
How about
grandpa
you?
was none the wiser, is what you're saying?
Grandpa was none the wiser. Grandma noticed, but grandma noticed
Right,
everything. But she,
right.
grandma's the one that would,
She's the one to help you
slide
refill
you a
your plate
dessert before. Yeah, yeah.
before. Yeah,
Grandma's gonna make sure you're okay. Yeah.
yeah. I love that.
How about you?
For me, I definitely think, I had a big multi, groups, the cousins, the uncles. We always used to go to my grandmother's house. And I think I remember transitioning from like the kid to the teenager very much in that moment. Like one year, I remember like being included on my first cousin walk after dinner. And those of you, if you know, you know. But it was definitely like, me? Like I get to go now?
Yeah, I
So
get to
it's one of
go.
those things that stands out in my memory, being invited on my first cousin walk after dinner.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and
I like that.
however it comes, right? However you get your family moments, you take
Whatever.
them.
I mean, I think so. I think that's the essence of today's show as we go into the holidays. I see these things, these lists, these articles going into the holidays where so many different points of view going into these holidays. So why don't we have one too, right?
Yeah.
We are, at the end of the day, a conversational podcast where we are seeking to explore the human dynamic, right, in order to develop and foster and strengthen our connections with each other, and to be able to just navigate conversation in a more meaningful way without destroying the dynamics of the relationships that we have.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is one of those holidays for sure that gratitude and tension clash and collide. The people who are around you know you very well. They know how to push your button. They know how to, you know, get under your skin because they've been doing it for a long, long time. If they're into that kind of thing, which when some of them are, right? Like that's the reality of it is, right? Everybody has that one drunkle who likes to reveal the family secrets or press everybody's buttons just to see kind of the chaos ensue. Or, you know, it just seems that being around our families can often regress us in some ways too, turn us
Yeah.
into old versions of ourselves. So
Yeah.
let's dig into some more of the tips and tricks on how we're going to help you prevent your Thanksgiving from going sideways this year.
Yeah. I would start with, not this is a tip of conversation, a tip of it's preparations going into the holiday. What is important to you about the holiday? Whatever that answer is for you. I know for me, just being with family I don't see all the time, people that I do have. So it's funny as you bring up that element of navigating this space with people who really know you, who you really know well. So it's harder to unpack certain things because there's always that historical context that feeds whatever
Oh
tension,
yeah, yeah,
unresolved trauma, unresolved
yeah.
frustrations, unresolved anger, whatever it is with those people. On the other side of that is this historical bond of shared experience that you cannot, literally cannot replace with anybody else.
Absolutely.
You only grow up once with a certain set of people. So those experiences are shared. You only hit certain age, and then to replace that, you have to be 40, 50, 60 years old over time to really, with a whole
And
set of new people. So
you
go
hit the
ahead.
head nail on the head there too. I think that a lot of people maybe realize it, maybe don't, but some of these conflicts that they're having aren't even about the topic at hand necessarily. Like it's
Right.
old stuff that's residual, you know, cousin Janie did this a long time ago. And sometimes that ad hominem sneaks in, like now I don't trust them, or they did XYZ thing, and it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the actual topic they're discussing. But then
Yeah.
again, we have the stress of expectations, like you were giving in the example of grandpa. Like we don't actually know how grandpa would have taken that moment or what would have happened. But the stress of the
Yeah.
expectation of not living up to that moment causes its own thing, causes everybody to react in a certain way. And I also wonder too how people navigate, you know, when you're the baby of the family or you're the funny one, right? You have these kind of roles that you develop
Yeah.
within your family dynamic over years. And, people grow out of that or change or just sometimes aren't in the mood to perform that
Oh,
particular version of
yeah.
themselves. And
Yeah.
this is an internalized thing too, that you have to give yourself some space and grace to grow and beyond that. But, those are the factors I think that really cause some of the stress around these, battles over things at the Thanksgiving meeting up.
And you round out this point so well. And I'll add to this idea of giving yourself space, but also recognize that everybody in the family feels that similar tension of the role.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes Uncle Tom, who is the clown, the joke teller, is in the mood to be in that role. And they are just crushing it and killing it and doing that. And sometimes they're not. So giving them space. And so going back to this baseline establishment of before you even walk in the door, before you even just understanding internally, like deep internally, why this is important to you. Is it important? Be honest with yourself because it's an
Right,
obligation.
right.
Is it important because you love tradition and this is the traditional aspect of things? And if you can anchor your space and time as you walk into it, not in the sense of, we just know this person's going to do this person's going to do this person's going to do this. We talked about training optimism before. This is the outcome of that.
Yeah.
Walking in with the perspective of, this person's going to do this, this person's going to do this, but I am going here because it's important for me for this reason, and this reason, whatever those reasons are for you.
And I think another key point to hone in on there, especially in this time right now when everyone's on edge, stressed out, hyper polarized, they're chomping at the bit for the moment, is do not try to win Thanksgiving. Don't try to win Thanksgiving. Don't
Don't.
go
Do
don't
not.
go in there like
Do
I'm gonna
not.
win
It's going to
Thanksgiving.
go into overtime.
Yeah.
It's a playoff game in hockey. This
Let me
thing's
tell you
going to
who
last
wins.
18 days.
Nobody. Nobody's gonna
Nobody.
win. No one's gonna
And
win.
there's
It's
no
gonna
shootout at the end.
You're
No.
right, exactly. You're gonna end up with an 18 inning World Series game and still be mad at each other at the end. And because when you go in trying to win Thanksgiving, you're gonna be easily led into the logical fallacies that we've been talking about in the series for the last few weeks, right? Either or, you're either with us or against us, right? You're gonna start purity testing your cousins for how much they believe in the same things that you believe, or Uncle Tom, as you were saying earlier. And that's how the straw mans end up coming out, right? When you've decided that you want to win and that no one's going to get you off your point, now you're arguing things. You find yourself arguing things that people aren't even saying, right?
And then
You've
ad hominem
decided,
pops in, and you
right?
did this when I was a kid, and all of a sudden everything starts to boil up.
The whole
And
kitchen sink, exactly. And that's what it really reveals too, oftentimes, like we were saying just earlier, that the topic isn't even about what we're talking about at hand. It's about the old, buried, undressed emotion that you still haven't dealt with from 1993.
yeah, I will and I've got a couple of examples in this relative to the importance of the holiday and why it matters to anchor on the positive emotional experience that is important for you. That's the start. Put yourself in the best position to walk in those doors and be joyful. To Gerren's point, don't try to win Thanksgiving. If you anchor on the emotional experience that you're trying to have, that positive, whatever that is, winning it becomes secondhand. So when Drunkle speaks up and says something, I'm not saying don't say something, but this goes back to our very first episode of the of this new reboot, this season, this year that we've been with you, is establish the parameters. Drunkle,
Absolutely.
are we really going to talk about this? Because I want to just set the ground rules before we engage, because I'm having a really good time, and we don't always need to talk about things. And I want to give you an example of this because I think this is really, really important. There is this wonderful 87-year-old woman at my gym. She's super kind. She's super sweet. And we talk for maybe 30 minutes a week at the gym. Not a very long period of time, but we've established a rapport, a relationship within the gym. So I want to reframe the Thanksgiving. We're thinking about this as the established relationship in small points of time. Now, as we talk throughout the year, there have been moments where she has asked me if I was liberal and then told me she couldn't talk to me because she, this thing. And then, of course, I tell her, well, this is what I do. And we continue to move these conversations forward. And there are times where she'll say something and I'll just be like, that's not true. And she'll joke it off and we'll just move on. It doesn't impact the dynamics of the relationship. Why does this matter? So we talked last week about the school board candidate. She asked me about it beforehand. And I told her who I was voting for. She asked me about the candidate that I had been concerned with. I didn't tell her all of the reasons why I wasn't interested in voting for her. I just told her the factual things that I knew about her. Number one being her kids aren't in the school district. And that led us to a conversation. So we end up carrying this conversation forward. And then a week later, I see her in the gym and she goes, I wanted to thank you because all of her people would have had her voting for that particular person. But she came up to me and she's like, I just appreciate you having that conversation with me because I talked to all my friends and they told me to vote for her, but they wouldn't give me a reason why. And I told her what you told me about her not having kids in the district. And they all seem to be brainwashed and they all seem to have a perspective, but they were justifying it. And so I didn't vote for her. Now, the point of that is these relationships that we have, if we can build them on shared space of understanding that first point of that emotional experience and bond, when things raise, we need to know what our strategy is to move through them. Setting boundaries, walking away. Hey guys, I'm just not in the mood to talk about this right now. Can we talk about something else? Absolutely. I'm going to go over here. And it doesn't have to destroy the relationship because later,
in fact,
that relationship may actually serve you better because you were kind to it versus fighting it.
Well, it's about being genuine in those moments, right? You can't fake the positivity that creates the types of connections. You have to be able to name the heavy stuff and still navigate around it. And that's what you were able to do in that relationship. And I feel like sometimes it's harder with people with their family because,
it's so much harder
you
with
have
family.
The history and they know you and they know your buttons. But there are some things that you were saying that I wrote down earlier about what I would consider the best ways to kind of navigate those conversations. And it is establishing boundaries early is a super important one. The phrase that you were using is a great way to do it, or saying, I love you, but today is not the day where we're talking about that. I'm not talking about that today. You don't have to engage in every subject because somebody else wants to, or shifting the energy to talk about travel stories or favorite memories. Remember when the dog came in and stole the turkey that one year? Like, that's a good way to shift off of the uncomfortability into something else when like I said, sometimes you don't have the space for it. And the way that you lead with curiosity is another one that we've always lean on here as a recommendation for how people come together in these moments and get past the harder situations.
Yeah, I mean, there are absolutely places and times for these conversations. I absolutely do not abide by the you don't talk about politics and you don't talk about religion. But you have to, it just has to be the right time, but it has to be the right time for everybody. So one person might be pushing your buttons to say, let's talk about it. Let's
And
talk about it. And we need to know what
you know what? I
purpose that
don't.
would serve.
It's so
Right.
funny because, I'm on this trip right now and I'm seeing people that I grew up with and went to elementary school or high school with, and we don't always all agree on things. And this kind of came up last night. Like one guy was very much still trying to bring up certain topics that everybody was kind of like, ha ha ha. But there is, I use my practice. I use my curiosity to ask them, well, what's your definition of that? Right? If you say we're not XYZ thing, then what's your definition of that thing? And using radical curiosity helped us at least get to a point where we had some common understanding about where the other person was coming from, but could also see that where we could disagree. And as we get into the end of this episode and reflect on what we do in these moments in order to take ourselves out of the amygdala response, the AB response, the flight, fight, fawn, or freeze response that happens. I got a couple things that I jotted down that I'm going to recommend for the audience here that people can do when they get into these moments when things get heated. Take a beat is one of my favorites. Take a breath, sip of water, take that extra bite, chew on your roll a little bit. Change the setting if you can. You can get up and go get a drink of water if you don't have one, or go get an extra dessert. Go get your second plate if you're Keith, because he's always ready. Or use a reset phrase, right? Oh, this reminds me of, or could we pivot to this topic? Or, what if we came back to that another time and talked about X, Y, Z? That way you can shift the conversation in a graceful way. And just remembering that escalating is your choice, like how you respond. If you're going to escalate this, you're going to be like, well, you're fucking wrong, Uncle Tom. That's a choice that you can make in that moment. And you
Yeah.
don't have to make that choice.
I love those tactical tips. I think, just summarizing it all as you go into the day, and I share that story. And the reason I share that story is to just remind yourself of why you're there. You've established that when you walk in the door.
Yeah,
That's point one. There's a reason to maintain those relationships. Conflict is inevitable. Combat is optional. Escalation is optional. You can't control everybody else's decisions and the approach that they want to have with the conversation, but you can control yours. So to Gerren's point, if you're in a position in those conversations, first, don't try to win Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not something to be won. Approach it with curiosity. Know where you are in that. Are you prepared to have that conversation? Maybe take a beat, maybe bow out, maybe say, hey, let's set some time when the family isn't here. I'd love to, maybe we can get some dinner. Approach it with curiosity and ask questions. We say it all the time. Ask
yeah,
questions, learn, and ask if you can share your position. Say, hey, can I give my opinion on this? Let someone say yes, because once they say yes, they're just going to be more open to hearing what you have to say. You're not trying to change everybody's mind. You're trying to navigate the conflict in a positive way that maintains the purpose as to why you're there, whether it's
that's right.
obligation or otherwise. But why would you want to be there if it's just going to be miserable?
Listen, you don't have to fix your family. That is not your job.
Mm, mm,
You don't
mm,
have to. You
mm-hmm.
can make space for multiple truths to exist and accept the people for who they are, where they are, and the moments that they are. Because, like you were saying, it's about the reason why you're there. It's about the gratitude. It's about the celebration. It's about the connection. And it is those small moments, right? The love that you have in your family isn't because you won Thanksgiving or you crushed your cousin in some debate, right? It's the small moments that actually make you tighter together. So focus on those things instead of what
Oh,
draws you further apart.
and I'm going to tie that right back to that story at the gym. It is that Thanksgiving is not a big moment. It might feel like it, but it's a small moment.
Yeah.
And it's those small moments when these things come up, how you handle them and manage them can lead to the next small moment in a positive way, where ultimately people feel they can express themselves, be honest, and maybe, just maybe, it's not a guarantee, but just maybe you get them to act in a way that is collectively beneficial. You might not change their mind or belief on something, but you might get somebody to see the collective benefit of a different choice. And in that, we all just are better for it.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'm going to say on this one is protect your peace, but honor your boundaries. Because I think that's ultimately what it'll come down to, and what'll probably save some folks a lot of heartbreak and stress in this, is that, you know, your peace is your own to manage and develop and protect. And those boundaries are there for a reason, to help you protect that peace. So honor that and honor yourself in that, so that, you feel a little bit more safe and secure. Share this episode, friends, with someone that you think might benefit from a discussion on how to handle tough family
Prime your whole
times at
family.
Thanksgiving.
Send it to your whole family and say, hey, guys,
Play
listen to
this
this.
at Thanksgiving. After the football game, just be like, listen, guys, we're going to have a quick chat. We're going to talk about this together.
We're gonna listen to this at halftime.
Uncle, put down the 12-pack.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy, look, we're gonna say
find an excuse to
happy
get together with your
colonization
people. Yeah.
Happy
finding
finding
an excuse to get together with your people day. I don't care what you celebrate.
Day. Yeah. Happy football day. However,
somebody save me a plate
for your family. And make sure I don't eat it too fast.
Yeah. Keith, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish before we get out of here?
I mean, come on, stuffing all day.
There you go. I'm with it. I honestly, I'm gonna get a little weird. I like to have a stuffing with a piece of ham. I know it's supposed to be turkey and stuffing, but I like the salty, savory. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no rules on Thanksgiving. You can do whatever you want.
No rules. Just eat.
Yeah.
Eat.
Have some pie at the end.
Yeah.
Gotta be pie.
There you go. What's your favorite pie?
Sweet potato by far.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Mine's apple.
That's good. I thought you were gonna go pumpkin, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't like pumpkin pie. No.
This is let's go ahead and put it out there. I think it's overrated. I think most people accept it as a seasonal dish, but they don't really love it.
That's fair. And
I'm leaving it on that controversial note.
I'm not against jelly cranberry sauce. Not against it.
Yeah, listen. If you think you're too good for cranberry sauce out of a can, like, get out of here. I made it from scratch one year, and I was like, this is unnecessary. It's good. It's good from scratch, but
it's fine. But yeah, give me the jiggle.
Yeah. Can that be the title of this episode? Give me the jiggle.
Give me the jiggle.
This is the More in Common podcast. I'm Gerren Taylor. That's Keith Richardson. We'll see you all next year.
Have a good one. Happy New Year, everybody.
Boom.